there is something curious happening right now. Something quiet. Something that will not announce itself on your feed, will not trend, will not ask for your attention. Certain people are vanishing, not dying, not failing, not running away, disappearing on purpose. You might have noticed it yourself. Someone you once knew, someone who seemed alive and engaged and present in the world, has simply stepped back. Their posts have stopped. Their replies have gone silent. The parties they used to attend no longer feel their presence. The career they were building has been placed gently on pause. And if you ask them why, if you can even reach them anymore, they will not give you a reason that satisfies the logic of the sleeping world. They will say something vague, something about needing space, about listening to something deeper, about a calling they cannot name. And you will not understand because you are still inside the movie theater, watching the film. And they have stood up, turned around, and walked toward the light at the back of the room. This is not about failure. This is not about depression, though the world will call it that. This is not about giving up. This is about waking up. And what almost no one tells you about waking up is this. The first thing you must do is leave. So if you are feeling the pull to disappear, listen to it. If you are exhausted by the performance, the posturing, the constant calibration of your energy to fit into rooms that drain you, trust that exhaustion. If you are hearing a voice beneath the noise, a whisper beneath the shoulds, and the expectations, and the fear of what others will think, follow that voice. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The caterpillar does not know it will become a butterfly. It only knows it must dissolve. It only knows the old form can no longer hold what it is becoming. And so it surrenders to the dark, to the unknown, to the terrifying process of complete transformation. Not because it understands where it is going, but because staying where it is has become impossible. You are that caterpillar, and the world needs your wings. But first, it needs your willingness to dissolve. Give yourself permission to withdraw. Give yourself permission to do the work that can only be done in silence and solitude, and the sacred container of your own becoming. Give yourself permission to disappoint the people who loved the version of you that was killing you. Give yourself permission to grieve what must be released and to trust what is emerging. This path is not easy. It is not comfortable. It is not Instagrammable. But it is real, and it is yours. The world does not need more performers. The world does not need more people pretending to have it all figured out, curating their highlight reels, optimizing their brands, selling their expertise, while their souls slowly starve beneath the surface. The world needs people who have done the work, people who have sat with their shadows and survived, people who have felt their grief and their rage and their terror and come out the other side not unscathed but integrated, people who can stand in the center of the storm and remain steady, people who can look another human being in the eye and offer presence instead of advice, witness instead of solutions, being instead of doing. That is what the world needs. That is what you are becoming. So disappear if you must. Withdraw if you are called. Do the work in the dark, in the silence, in the invisible places where transformation actually occurs. And when you return, and you will return. Bring back what you found there. Not as a teaching, not as a brand, not as proof of your enlightenment or evidence of your superiority, but as a presence, grounded, integrated, real. The awakened are disappearing, not because they are running away, but because they are finally running toward themselves. And in that movement, in that brave, quiet, necessary withdrawal from the collective dream, they are becoming the medicine this world desperately needs, but does not yet know how to ask for. Trust the process. Trust the dark. Trust yourself. And then, one day, you return. But you do not return the same. You cannot return the same. You are the border dweller now, the one who has seen both worlds, the sleeping and the waking, and can no longer fully belong to either. You live at the edge, at the threshold, in the liminal space between what was and what is becoming, between the collective dream and the individual truth, between the noise of the world and the silence of your own knowing. This is not a comfortable place to live. The border is cold. It is lonely. It offers no clear instructions, no roadmap, no community of people who will fully understand what you have been through or where you are going. But it is real, and after years of living in the false comfort of performance and pretending real is the only thing that matters anymore, you re-engage with the world, but selectively now. Not with everyone, not with everything, not with the old patterns and the old roles and the old invitations to abandon yourself for the sake of belonging. You choose your connections with the precision of a surgeon. You say yes only to what resonates at the level of soul, not ego. You offer your presence, not your performance. And here is what you discover. Presence is the rarest gift you can give. In a world of people performing their expertise, their happiness, their success, their enlightenment, you simply show up, grounded, integrated, undefended. You do not need to prove anything anymore. You do not need to sell anything anymore. You do not need to be more or different or better than you are in this moment. You speak less, but when you speak, your words carry weight. You move slower, but your movements are intentional. You engage less, but your engagements are real. People will feel this. They will not always understand it, but they will feel it. Some will be drawn to you, like moths to a flame, hungry for the authenticity they sense, but cannot name. They will ask you what changed. They will want the secret, the shortcut, the 5-step process to become what you have become. And you will not be able to give it to them, because there is no shortcut through the dark. There is only the willingness to enter it. Others will be repelled by you. Your groundedness will feel like judgment to those still performing. Your silence will feel like rejection to those still seeking validation through noise. Your refusal to play the old games will be interpreted as arrogance, coldness, spiritual bypassing. Let them think what they will think. You are no longer here to manage their perception of you. You are here to live from your center. You are here to offer what is true, not what is popular. You are here to do the work you came here to do, not the work that was assigned to you by a sleeping world that mistakes busyness for purpose and noise for aliveness. This is the work of the border dweller, to stand at the edge and hold the tension between worlds, to be a bridge for those ready to cross, to be a mirror for those ready to see, to be a presence, stable, grounded, unshakable, in a world that is dizzy with its own forgetting. You do not need to save anyone. You do not need to wake anyone up. You simply need to be awake. And your wakefulness, your presence, your refusal to go back to sleep, this alone is a revolutionary act. What happens in the dark is sacred. What happens in the silence is alchemy. What happens when you stop performing and start being is nothing short of a death and a birth happening simultaneously in the same body. This is the hermit phase, and it is not what you think it is. It is not about becoming a monk, or moving to a mountain, or rejecting the world forever. It is about creating a container, a sacred, protected space where the work of integration can finally occur. The work that could not happen while you were busy managing your image, maintaining your relevance, proving your worth to an audience that was never going to be satisfied anyway. You are meeting your shadow now. All the parts of yourself you exiled because they were not acceptable to the culture you were trying to survive in. The rage you were not allowed to express. The grief you were told to get over. The desires you were taught to be ashamed of. The needs you learned to call weakness. They are all here now, waiting for you in the silence. And you cannot bypass them. You cannot think your way past them. You cannot meditate them into submission or affirm them into disappearance. You must feel them. You must let them speak. You must give them the attention they have been screaming for beneath the noise of your too busy life. This is shadow integration, and it is not gentle. It is not the Instagram version of healing, all soft lighting and green smoothies and positive affirmations written in pretty fonts. It is raw. It is messy. It is the grief you have been avoiding for a decade, rising up in waves that knock you to your knees. It is the anger you have swallowed, finally finding its voice and shaking the walls of your carefully constructed identity. It is your nervous system, finally, being given permission to discharge the accumulated stress of years spent in fight or flight, in fawning and freezing, in the constant hypervigilance of trying to be safe, in a world that felt hostile to your true nature. You are not broken. You are unwinding. And this unwinding takes time. It takes more time than you want it to take. More time than the productivity-obsessed part of you can tolerate. Because this is not a project. This is not a problem to solve. This is a process. Organic, non-linear, wise in ways your thinking mind will never understand. You are the seed in the dark soil. You are the caterpillar dissolving in the cocoon. You cannot rush this. You can only surrender to it. So you sit with yourself. You walk in nature. You journal and weep and sleep for 12 hours and wake up and sleep again because your body is finally being allowed to rest at the depth it has needed to rest for years. You stop consuming. You stop scrolling. You stop filling every moment with distraction and noise and other people's thoughts. You become exquisitely still. And in that stillness, something begins to clarify. Your purpose. Not the purpose that was assigned to you by your family, your culture, your conditioning. Your actual purpose. The one that has been waiting beneath the performance, beneath the fear, beneath the desperate need to be seen and validated by a world that was never designed to see you clearly in the first place. It whispers to you in the silence. It shows itself in dreams, in synchronicities, in the subtle pull towards certain activities and away from others. And you begin to trust it. You begin to trust yourself, not the constructed self, not the adaptive self. the true self, the one that knows, the one that has always known what you are here to do. This is the gift of the hermit phase. Not escape, not avoidance, becoming. So you begin to withdraw, not dramatically, not with announcements or explanations or grand exits, quietly, like an animal returning to its den before a storm that only it can sense. You stop posting, you stop performing, you stop showing up to the places where your presence was expected, but not truly wanted, where you were needed as an extra in someone else's story, but never as the author of your own. And the invitations begin to slow. The messages become less frequent. The world that once seemed so hungry for your energy suddenly seems perfectly capable of continuing without you, which tells you everything you needed to know about the quality of those connections in the first place. This is not about becoming superior to others. This is not about spiritual bypassing or pretending you have transcended the need for human connection. This is about discernment. This is about finally drawing a boundary between what is yours and what is the world's, between what nourishes your soul and what merely extracts from it, between relationships built on genuine resonance and relationships built on performance, transaction, and the fear of being alone. You are learning to distinguish between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is the ache for connection in a room full of people who cannot see you. Solitude is the relief of your own company, after years of abandoning yourself to fit into spaces that required you to be smaller, louder, different, less. The people in your life will not understand this. They will call you distant. They will say you have changed, and they will not mean it as a compliment. They will accuse you of thinking you are better than them, because they cannot conceive of a reason to withdraw that is not rooted in judgment. But you are not judging them. You are simply waking up. And the truth that no one wants to hear, is that you cannot wake up and stay in the dream at the same time. You cannot see the strings and continue to dance like a puppet. You cannot taste freedom and go back to the cage and pretend the bars are not there. So you leave. You leave the career that paid well, but drained your life force. You leave the social circles that valued your utility, but not your humanity. You leave the version of yourself that was built to be tolerated, celebrated, consumed, and you go looking for the version that was buried beneath the performance. This leaving is not an escape. This leaving is an excavation. You are not running from something. You are running towards something, towards silence, toward stillness, toward the wild, uncharted territory of your own depths, toward the parts of yourself you have been too busy, too distracted, too afraid to meet. And so you disappear without apology, disappear without explanation. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unknow what you have known. You cannot return to the dream once you have tasted waking. This is the first law of awakening, and it is both a gift and a blade. It begins subtly, a dissonance, a feeling that something is off in the machinery of your life. The conversations that once engaged you now feel hollow, scripted, like lines delivered by actors who have forgotten they are performing. The achievements you once pursued, the promotions, the validations, the carefully curated evidence of your worth, begin to taste like cardboard in your mouth. You look around at the people in your life, and you see them clearly for the first time. Not with judgment, not with superiority, with sadness, because you see how deeply they are asleep, how fiercely they are running on the treadmill of becoming, never stopping to ask who is running, or why, or toward what. You see them performing their happiness on screens, collecting their likes like a child collecting shells on a beach that is not real, that was built by algorithms and advertisers and the inherited traumas of a civilization that mistakes noise for aliveness, and you realize you were doing the same thing. This recognition does not arrive as enlightenment. It arrives as nausea, as exhaustion, as a bone-deep fatigue that no amount of sleep can touch, because it is not your body that is tired. It is your soul, weary from the pretending, from the shape-shifting, from the constant calibration of your face and your words and your energy to fit into rooms that were never built for your actual shape. You begin to notice the cost of participation. Every networking event leaves you hollow. Every scroll through social media feels like drinking from a poisoned well. Every conversation about status and strategy and who is winning and who is falling behind activates something in your nervous system that feels ancient and animal and wrong. Your body is trying to tell you something. Your body has been trying to tell you something for years. And now, finally, you are listening. This is the threshold moment. This is the crack in the world. And once you see the crack, you cannot pretend the wall is solid anymore.